guys, it's Miss Bree here. So today I want to talk to you about microbes a little bit. So microbes are tiny little creatures that you can't see that live everywhere in this world, from on our skin to on our pet's fur. Um, there are tiny microbes everywhere, and a lot of them are really positive for our bodies. We have probiotics in our tummies that help make our food digest. We have little mites on our eyelashes that apparently we need, that we can't see. But if you're anything like my house right now, I have a fourth grader and kindergartner, and our house has been talking a lot about hand washing. We have a song. I won't sing that for you guys because you don't deserve that. However, we've been talking a lot about getting the bottoms of our hands and the tops of our hands and in between our fingers. And my kids, just like any other kids, are curious why. What are germs? So we've been talking a lot about what are germs. We talk about how they're microscopic and we can't see them, but it's really important that we keep our hands clean to keep them to keep us healthy and keep our friends and family healthy. So with that, one of our experiments, I encourage you guys to have science experiments going on at home. It doesn't need to be like this, but just get kids questioning things, maybe even using the scientific method. So I did this with my fourth grader. My kindergartner was around. She definitely helped with the experiment, but not so much with this. So we talked a little bit about the scientific method and how it's important for scientists to have a method and a way of studying things effectively and efficiently. So we have 4 steps of the scientific method with this. So I'm going to go through it. So right now, our questions are: what kinds of germs will grow/show? What will grow the most germs, and which one will grow faster? So keep in mind this is kind of a child-run project, so some of the wording I may not have used, but I definitely want her to take ownership over it. So she came up with the questions. I did the writing, but she came up with the questions, and I thought she did a really good job with some input from a kindergartner too. She's most curious, what will grow the most germs? So then I had them make a hypothesis, and we talk about how a hypothesis is an educated prediction, or what you think will happen. And so Addie thinks that the different germs will be different colors and shapes, and Addie also thinks that Audrey's teeth will grow the most, because she's the big sister. Audrey thinks that Scout's teeth will grow the most germs. And they both think Scouts will grow the fastest. So we did a procedure then. So the girls knew that when we got the Petri dishes in the mail, we needed to put them in the refrigerator. So refrigerator, Petri dishes before we used. And then our second step was we made a list of the things we wanted to test. So the list things they came up with, remember this is kid run, they wanted to see how many microbes were on Kitty's paws, on Audrey's teeth, on Addie's teeth, on the back of the fridge. So Addie wanted to see if there were any germs in the way back of the fridge, so she moved the milk over and she swabbed the back of the fridge. We did the kitchen drain. We did Audrey's toothbrush. We did the thermometer control panel. I don't know why it's such a hit in our house, but our kids like to go in there and change the color of the background. So it gets touched a lot. I don't know if that happens in any other house. And then we swabbed both of their hands after we had played outside and different things like that. I made sure not to wash them until after this to kind of see what kind of microbes and germs were found on their hands after we came in for both of their hands. So after that, we dipped a sterile Q-tip. So the kit we ordered came with a sterile Q-tip, and it came with a sterile solution. So we dipped them in here, the sterile solution, and then we swabbed the different things. So swabbing means to dip, and then we swabbed different things. So like I said, toothbrushes, the kitchen sink, the fridge, the kitty's paws, whatever the kids were interested in seeing what microbes were there and germs. And so then we did 10 different Petri dishes. And these Petri dishes have a nutrient-rich kind of sauce in it called agar. And so then we swabbed it gently. So put that up. So this is one of our Petri dishes right here. This is Addie's hands. And it just has like a agar solution in it. It's a clear solution. Kind of looks like petroleum. And from there, we have it set up and the directions say between 84 and 100 degrees. So we have a thermometer in here. So 1/2, the light unfortunately right now isn't hitting the aquarium evenly. We need something to hang from the ceiling, but right now it'll do. So this half is measuring at about 80 degrees and this half is measuring at about 86 degrees. They say if the temperature gets too low, nothing will grow, but if it gets too high, you're going to end up cooking all the bacteria and they die. But the reason I made this video is not to say, oh, this is what we do, you should do it too. However, I will post a link to where I bought this kit on Amazon if you want to also replicate it with your family. But it's really more about getting the kids questioning, making good solid questions, and then creating something that's testable. So having them question things and then coming up with educated answers. Because I firmly believe everyone's a scientist and everyone's a naturalist. And kids are so curious. So this is maybe a good time for some families to be able to hone in on that curiosity, maybe answer some questions, and be a scientist. So my girls are really excited. We have the bacteria book, The Big World of Tiny Bacteria, and they were excited because right here the book says growing blobs. Scientists make bacteria grow on special plates called Petri dishes. I just showed you our Petri dishes filled with nutrient-rich goop called agar. The nutrients in the agar help bacteria grow. After some time, the bacteria blobs are big enough for us to see. So my girls were really excited when we read this little blurb of the book. They were like, we're scientists, we're doing that. Because we don't have a microscope in our home. We don't have an electron microscope in our home. Those things are a little out of reach for our household, just like most households. But you can buy these plates. I got 10 of them with this stuff for, I think, $20. But you can buy smaller kits. You can buy larger kits if you want to go all out. And it's really something fun you can do. We're also doing a bread experiment upstairs where it's kind of the same thing. If you don't want to buy any of this, you can use 3 slices of bread. 1 slice of bread you leave as your control, you don't touch it. Another slice of bread, you touch it with your hands before you wash them, so dirty hands if you will. And then the other one is your washed hands. And right now we're sitting at about a week with that and we have no like growth whatsoever. But that one probably takes a little bit more time. The experiments I read about that was like 2 to 3 weeks, especially depending on the bread you used, if you use bread with preservatives. So we've been having a good time with science and asking questions and creating predictions. And going through procedures is really good, getting my kids to slow down, think like, okay, what do we need to do before we do the next thing? And then also going through material lists before you jump into it. What are the things you need to be successful? So this has been a really good way of getting my kids to slow down. And it's also been a really good way of encouraging them to enjoy sciences and be a scientist. So I hope you enjoyed my experiment. I hope you guys are at the very least questioning everything around you and being curious beings. Have a great day.